Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my opinion on the top 15 greatest budget folding knives of all time when it comes to EDC. Why not a top 10? Why a top 15? There is no way. There's just way too much good stuff that has come out here in the last year. That's how long it's been since I've done this, by the way. There's way too much amazing stuff that's come out in the last year. So we're doing a top 15. These knives are in no particular order, but I will say I do think that number one is truly the greatest of all time. I will link all of these knives right down in the description so that you guys can check them out. The nice thing about this list is that they are all available and they're all budget knives, which means they're all under $75. That's the line on this channel. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. We're going to be going lightning fast today. If you want more information on any of these individual models, you can check out the full comprehensive reviews I have of each individual model on my channel. Starting off here with number 15, no budget knife list would be complete without the Boker Kalashnikov. Why? Because in my opinion, it's still the only recommendable side-opening budget automatic knife in existence. There are other ones, but this is really the only one that I'm going to recommend. Aluminum and D2 for $60. They don't have the best fit and finish. The pocket clip is a little weird. The ergonomic lines are a little weird, but they will last. I've got one that's 13 years old and is absolutely beat into the ground. Absolutely still recommendable for what it is. Moving on here to number 14. Also can't not include the QSP Parrot for $28 in D2 and G10. A lot of companies will build a similar knife and try to charge 50 bucks for it, and QSP says, no, that knife should cost $28. I'm not sure how they're still doing this in 2023, but it's legitimately, I mean, it's one of the least expensive recommendable knives out there. For obvious reasons, this thing just works. Well deserving of a spot on this list. Moving on here to number 13, and that's going to be the Sencut Saxy. Definitely one of the least expensive button locks on the list. I like these knives because both left-handed and right-handed people can use these and have essentially the same experience. It's just the thumb or the index finger operating the button lock. And of course, we have ambidextrous clip mounting positions. Very classic profile, very classic blade profile. It just works. I think these are 9CR 18 MOV, which is a fantastic steal considering these things come in at $45. Really just a straightforward, recommendable budget button lock knife. Moving on here to number 12, and that's going to be the Sencut Crowley, which is really just a slightly different button lock than the Sencut Saxy. This guy's a little bit longer and has a little bit different grind. It's fully flat ground right up here in front of the thumb stud. This guy, like the Sencut Saxy, has both thumb studs and a flipper tab. It's got slightly different ergonomic lines. Some people will prefer one or the other. I honestly don't have a preference over, I kind of personally like this one a little bit better for the profile, but that's really just because of how it looks. This guy is $47, so it's $2 more. I'm not really sure why. It has all the same benefits. So $2, that's not really going to be enough to sway most people. So I would say just pick the one that you think looks best to you. They're both excellent. Moving on here, another one that I can't not include on this list, and that's going to be the Lightning OTF. This guy does not have anything special when it comes to blade steel. I think that there's still 440C, and I want to be really specific here. Not the Lightning Elite. Those things have actually proven to have way more problems than the original Lightning, and I'm honestly not convinced that they're made by the same people. Not really sure. The Lightning OTF still comes in at $30, probably still rocking 440C, and then it's got really basic painted aluminum for the frame, but man, this thing will go forever. It's like an old Toyota Tacoma that just won't, I mean, the new ones won't die either, but these things won't die. If you want a budget OTF, there is no other option, in my opinion, than the Lightning OTF. It's still excellent and still super recommendable. Moving on here to number 10, and that's going to be the Vosteed Raccoon Bar Lock Edition. This is new for 2023, I believe. I wasn't a big fan of the liner lock version, but this bar lock version is fantastic. 14C28N, wonderful ergonomic profile, wonderful blade profile. Just fantastic overall compact design, but still feeling like a full-size knife. It's wonderful that it's ambidextrous. Left and right-handed people can have the exact same experience. Really, really great. And something to note is that their omega spring tension is on point on this thing. It feels really good to actuate that bar lock, and it doesn't feel loosey-goosey, floppy, and that drives me nuts. It feels good. This is a wonderful, wonderful knife. Moving on here to number 9. I think this is an incredibly underrated knife. The Civivi Sokoke. I honestly don't know how to pronounce it. This thing is excellent. $62, 14C28N, inset liner lock, thumb stud deployer, wonderful blade profile, wonderful handle profile, really great ergonomic design. Really the only issue with a lot of these Sencuts and Civivis is the stupid pocket clip. I can't stand that. Well, I say I can't stand it. It's the fact that it has the Loch Ness Monster bill. Everything else about the pocket clip is just fine, but the pocket clip bill is going to be a little bit snaggy. Outside of that, this thing is absolutely wonderful. Again, really classic profile, really classic lines, just a straightforward, really good EDC folding knife, and 14C28N for $62 is really, really great. Moving on here to number 8, obviously, I have to include the QSP Penguin for pretty much the same reason that you have to include the QSP Parrot. It's $32. It's freaking $4 more than the Parrot. I think it's a slightly longer knife, but it has, in my opinion, a better blade profile for EDC. These are some of the best blade profiles for EDC just because of generally what we do. The everyman, right? Not the professional, whatever. I'm saying the everyman. When you're doing draw cuts or you're opening packages or silly little things like that, that's what most of us do with pocket knives. The QSP Penguin is definitely going to excel at that, and you can't really come down on it, you know, considering, I mean, for hardly anything. I mean, the action's amazing. You can't really come down on it for anything considering it's $32. Moving on here to number 7, one of my personal favorites. Well, obviously, these are all my personal favorites, but on this list, the Miguron Valona. This is actually the updated version. This is ridiculous. The value on this thing is insane. Titanium pocket clip, G10. We have gray PVD on this guy and 14C28N. Overall quality is just off the charts amazing. You're thinking that's probably one of the most expensive ones on the list, right? It's a big boy for sure. $52. Really incredible. The detent is tuned properly. The blade is sharpened really well. These new ones have the choke up spot on the forward choil there. Really, if you're wanting like the best presentation, the best overall execution, the best feeling knife for the money, this might be it. Miguron is really nailing it nowadays. It's not like they weren't in the beginning, but really this particular version of the Miguron Valona is just outstanding. I cannot believe that they're getting this done for $52, especially with a titanium pocket clip that is mountable for left-handed carry. So lefties, you get to enjoy this too. Really great stuff. Moving on here to number 6, can't not include the Civivi Elementum. Truthfully, this is one of my least favorite ones on the list, and it's really just because the profile has just become, I'm like, I've seen the Elementum is just everywhere. Like, it's the most popular budget knife on every single retail site. It's really good. I like it. I'm just kind of, at this point, I'm kind of bored with it, but that doesn't mean that it's not a wonderful knife. It really is. It's popular for a reason. It's got a great profile. It's got an incredible compact design. Again, we have the general good action of a button lock, the general fidget factor of a button lock. Really, the only disappointing thing here is that it doesn't have a mountable position for lefty carry. That's kind of a stupid move on Civivi's part. If there is a version of it that's lefty friendly, I don't know about it. But outside of that, the Nitro V Steel, the great blade profile, the nice choke up position. Really, if you're looking for a more compact budget knife that just kind of is generic, straightforward, just good all around EDC, this might be the way to go. Those come in at $65, and I think you're paying a little bit more money because it's the Elementum and because it's so popular, but still not bad at all, and definitely one of the best of all time. Moving on here to number 5, new to this list for 2023, and that's going to be the Sencut Serene. This knife is kind of what happens when you smash the Saxy and the Crowley together and then make it out of aluminum. Honestly, this has the best, like if you're like, I wish that these had like elements of each other, this is kind of the best of both worlds. Coming in at $46, especially if you like aluminum, this is the one to get, right? I mean, if you prefer one of the other ones, that's fine. But if you're kind of on the fence, you're not sure because they both have good, just go with the Serene. That's the way to go. The aluminum's great. This one, a lot of aluminum button locks seem to have what I call plunge drag, where if you push the button too hard, the blade drags. This had a little bit and then wore in, which is great. That's good news in the event that it's just, something that's potentially applicable to all budget button lock knives or button lock knives in general. This blade has a fantastic profile. The handle is fantastic in terms of ergonomics. The value is great. The overall presentation is great. Performance is great. Really, really fantastic button lock knife from Sencut. Moving on here to number 4, the most expensive knife on the list, but definitely one of my favorites, and that's the Civivi Chevalier. This is the fancy boy of the bunch. We have a very long sheep's foot blade, which is my absolute favorite for EDC. This just makes short work of everything. 14C28N, probably the most classic handle profile of all time, but you're coupling it with this absolutely ridiculously wonderful blade. This blade is absolutely fantastic. Nice and thin. I love the rounded, sort of the rounded tip or snout of a sheep's foot blade. I think the subtle curvature, the subtle belly is just perfect. It's even got a little fuller there so you can reverse flick it if you're feeling a little saucy that day. This is $69 giggity. I don't know why this thing is just slightly more expensive than a lot of other Sencut button lock. Whatever. Honestly, I think it's worth it. I'm not a big fan of the wood on this guy. I think the black G10 or do they make micarta variants? I think those look a little bit better, but you will not be disappointed with the Chevalier. I'm guessing this thing's gonna make the list for at least another couple of years. It really is that good. And they were smart enough to add the lefty clip mounting position here too. So lefties, you can still enjoy this essentially the same way as a right-handed person. Again, you're just using your index finger. Moving on here to number 3, have to include this one, the Pyrite XL. The CJRB Pyrite, it has absolutely taken the budget knife world by storm. I'm not the only one who's saying that. It's really that good of a knife. And I think really what they're doing the best here is it's the combination of their proprietary AR RPM9 steel, which is the only consistently found powder form steel in the budget knife world and still well under the line. This is a $60 knife, right? Classic Lines is definitely one of the larger knives on the list, but the button operates perfectly. The thumb stud is in exactly the right place. The cutting geometry is fantastic. You're getting, in this case, an enormous amount of blade for how much knife you're actually carrying. They make full steel versions of these, and they're definitely a little bit heavier, but the G10 and steel liner versions, I think, are no problem to carry at all. It really is amazing how much knife you get in your pocket for how little weight it is, right? But we still have peel ply texture G10. I mean, the quality is all there. Really, CJRB is doing some of the best work in the budget knife world, period. Honestly, some of the best work in the production knife world, period. Moving on here to number 2, EDC Heaven, nearly EDC perfection. The only other Migron on this list, and my current favorite as far as Migron EDC champion essence, is the Moyarl, the Migron Moyarl, which is the weirdest name. Why is it named? It's so weird. I feel like I just ate a bunch of Jell-O and I'm trying to give directions to Michigan or something. I don't know why they named it that, but whatever. The knife is essentially perfect for EDC. You have a lefty-friendly clip mount position, which is great. It is a right-handed liner lock, but as you can see here, I have no problem manipulating it with my left hand. We have that sort of Spyderco Shaman profile without it being a copy. This thing is much smaller. You have that perfect choke-up position. You have that very easy access to the opening hole, very easy access to the liner lock. Ease of manipulation here is perfection, but you get on top of that Migron's wonderful execution of materials. We have titanium. We have a nice little pivot collar there. Peel ply texture G10. Nice chamfering around the edges, so ergonomic comfort is an absolute, it's peak here. It's really great. Despite the scales feeling a little bit thick, I kind of like the way it feels the hand. The blade profile is also wonderful, and it's PVD coated, and it's 14C28N. How much does that cost? $49. Are you kidding me? Migron just absolutely slapping everybody in the face with a wet ham attached to a canoe paddle. Absolutely ridiculous. Their pricing is off the charts. It's so good. This is wonderful. Buy this knife. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Buy this knife. It's fantastic. Moving on here to number 1. I think you guys know what it is. The number 1 greatest budget knife in the world is hands down the standard CJRB pyrite. Honestly, it's going to be the sheep's foot version, I think, with the opening hole. It's perfect. I mean, there's really, I really can't say that I legitimately recommend that they change anything. I have the drop point version. I have the sheep's foot version. You know, pick your poison. It doesn't really matter. They're both wonderful. This thing still has the ergonomic comfort that you would want, right? That you get with the larger one. But because of that forward twirl there, you can really choke up on it. Even choked back, you're still getting a full grip if you have hands that are about the same size as mine or smaller. I wear an XL glove. Really, really comfortable. You can get these in G10 with steel liners to reduce the weight a little bit, and you still get that wonderful powder-formed AR RPM 9 steel, which is essentially powder-formed 9TR 18 MOV. Really, really great. For 50 bucks, this is the best all-around budget knife, right? And if you're like, it's too small for me, then get the big one. There it is. The big one, right? Lefty friendly. Again, you've got mounting positions for left or right-hand carry. Left-handed people, you can manipulate this with your index finger. It's just fine. I think this one's a little bit easier with the opening hole, right? It just feels a little bit more natural, and I also like the blade profile better. This is a performer. This is the way to go. It is the #1 best budget knife that I have ever handled. I've been saying it for a long time, and I wanted to make it official in this video here. Guys, that's going to be pretty much it today. We did accomplish moving lightning fast, about 1 knife per minute, so that's great. Like I said, all of these knives will be listed right down in the description, so you guys can check them out if you want to. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.